I never planned to return home that afternoon. I had only dropped by my parents' place to pick up a few tools from the garage before heading back to work. But fate had something else in store for me, something so cruel, so gut-wrenching, that it would change my life forever. As I stepped into the house, nostalgia filled the air. The faint scent of my mom's famous cinnamon rolls still lingered in the kitchen. I walked through the hallway, my footsteps light against the wooden floor, just as I was about to exit through the back door to the garage. A sudden movement outside the window caught my eye. My heart froze. There she was, my wife, Vanessa, sneaking a man out of the front door. Not just any man, her boss, Jake. My fists clenched. My breathing turned ragged. The smug smile on Jake's face, the way Vanessa nervously patted down her dress, fixing her messy hair. It told me everything I needed to know. My stomach twisted into a knot. My pulse pounded against my temples. And then, the final stab to my soul. My mother, standing beside me watching the scene unfold, calmly sipped her tea and said something that made my blood boil. "So, how do you like Jake? Is his Johnson bigger than my son's?" I felt my world collapse. A cold rage spread through my veins like wildfire. I had two choices: confront them like a fool, or plan something so brutal, so devastating, that Vanessa would never forget the day she chose to betray me. And I chose revenge. There was a time when I thought Vanessa was the best thing that ever happened to me. She wasn't just my wife. She was my partner, my best friend, the woman I imagined growing old with. I had given her everything. But looking back now, I realized I had been nothing more than a stepping stone for her, a convenience until someone better came along. I met Vanessa 5 years ago at a charity event my company had sponsored. She was breathtaking. Long chestnut hair, piercing blue eyes, and a smile that could light up a room. She had an aura of innocence, something that made me believe she was different from all the superficial women saw. We hit it off instantly. She laughed at my jokes, made me feel like the most important man in the world, and within a year, we were married. At first, things were perfect, or at least I thought they were. She was loving, attentive, and always supportive. But slowly, small cracks began to appear. At first, I ignored them. Maybe she was just stressed. Maybe I was overthinking things. But the truth was staring me right in the face. I started noticing how she spent more time on her phone, giggling at texts she wouldn't let me see. Late nights at work became more frequent. And intimacy? That was slowly becoming non-existent. I tried to talk to her to fix whatever was wrong, but she always brushed me off. "It's just work stress, babe." I believed her. Like a fool, I believed her. Now, standing in my parents' house, my mom's words echoed in my mind like a haunting nightmare. "So, how do you like Jake? Is his Johnson bigger than my son's?" Those words weren't just sarcasm. They were the brutal truth. Vanessa had talked about me to my own mother. She had humiliated me. I turned to my mom, my jaw clenched. "What did you just say?" I could barely get the words out, my voice trembling with rage. My mom sighed, setting her tea down. "I wasn't going to tell you, but maybe you need to hear it. A few months ago, Vanessa and I were having wine together. She got drunk and she told me that you, well, aren't enough for her." I felt my chest tighten. My fists curled so hard, my nails dug into my palms. "She said you're a great husband. a loving man. But in bed, she's never been satisfied. A deep, suffocating silence filled the room. I closed my eyes, taking a deep breath, trying to keep my composure. She had betrayed me, not just physically, but emotionally. She had mocked me, laughed about me, shared the most intimate part of our marriage with someone else. I had never felt so weak, so powerless. But that was about to change. I opened my eyes and let out a slow, controlled exhale. I knew exactly what I had to do. I wasn't going to lash out like some angry, betrayed husband. That would be too easy. I was going to make her regret every single moment she thought she was smarter than me. That night, as I lay in bed beside Vanessa, staring at the ceiling, I felt nothing. No love, no sadness, just a cold, calculating determination. She had betrayed me, humiliated me, and worst of all, she thought she had gotten away with it. But she had no idea what was coming. I didn't confront her. That would have been too easy. No shouting, no accusations. I wanted to watch her crumble. The first step, I vanished. The next morning, I left before sunrise. No note, no explanation, no texts. I went completely off the grid. I deactivated my social media, emptied our joint bank account into a private one, and cut off all communication. Vanessa woke up to an empty house and a missing husband. I imagined her confusion, the panic setting in. She'd probably check her phone 100 times, wondering if I'd messaged, but there would be nothing. She'd call my mom. But my mom? She was on my side. She would tell Vanessa what I told her to say. I don't know where he is. He just packed up and left. Vanessa would have no idea if I had found out about her affair, and that uncertainty would eat her alive. By the second day, Vanessa had texted me over 50 times. Where are you? Are you okay? I'm worried. Please talk to me. Are you mad about something? She was spiraling. I had been her safety net, her stability. She thought she was in control, that she could do whatever she wanted, and I would always be there. But now, she was alone, and I wasn't done yet. On the third day of my disappearance, I made my first move. I changed the locks. She came home from work that evening, probably expecting me to be waiting for her, ready to apologize like the weak, gullible husband she thought I was. Instead, she found her keys didn't work. Panic, confusion. Then the fear set in. She banged on the door. Called my phone, but it was still off. Her texts became more desperate. What the hell is going on? Why can't I get into our house? Please, just talk to me. Is this a joke? She wasn't laughing anymore. Vanessa was pacing outside the house, her fingers furiously tapping on her phone screen. She was locked out of our home, but that was just the beginning of her nightmare. She had no idea that while she was at work, I had pulled every financial string possible to ruin her life. As she stood there, trying to process the fact that she couldn't get into the house, her phone buzzed. One notification, then another, and another. Her face twisted in confusion as she checked her banking app. Your account balance, $0, 0 cents. Payment declined. Insufficient funds. Joint account closed by primary account holder. Reality crashed down on her like a sledgehammer. Her heart must have stopped as she realized what had happened. Every cent she thought she had, gone. She'd always assumed she was in control. She used our joint account for everything: shopping, dining, vacations. She never even noticed that I was the primary account holder. While she was out there sneaking around with her boss, I was busy making sure she would be left with nothing. I had emptied our joint account into a private one, canceled all her credit cards that were under my name, cut off her access to any savings, paid off all bills in advance, except her personal ones. And the cherry on top? I transferred our home lease to my name only and had her removed. Vanessa was officially homeless and broke. Her hands must have been shaking as she tried calling the bank, only to be told that her name was no longer associated with any active accounts. She had nowhere to go, no house, no money, no husband to bail her out. She wasn't just locked out of the house, she was locked out of her own life, but I wasn't done yet. The worst was yet to come. Vanessa had nowhere to go. She stood outside, staring at the locked door, her heart pounding. Her money was gone. Her home was gone. And worst of all, her control was slipping away. But she hadn't even seen the real storm yet. Because I had planned something so brutal, so utterly humiliating, that it would break her in ways she never imagined. I had proof of her betrayal. I wasn't stupid. I had installed hidden security cameras months ago when I first started suspecting something was off. And those cameras? They had captured everything. Her sneaking Jake into our bedroom. Their disgusting whispers. Their laughter at my expense. And the worst part? Her moaning my name while sleeping with him, mocking me. I didn't just watch the footage, I edited it. I cut together the most damning moments into a single video, a masterpiece of humiliation. Then, I uploaded it everywhere. Facebook, posted on her page and tagged all her friends and family. Instagram and Twitter, clipped the worst parts, and let the internet do its thing. Her workplace group chat, sent directly to her boss's wife and company. HR, Jake's wife. Oh yes, I made sure she got a copy too. I knew exactly where Vanessa would go once she realized she was homeless and broke. Her best friend's house. And so, I made sure to be there first. I arrived at Lisa's place with a fake smile, acting heartbroken. I played the victim perfectly. Lisa, I just found out Vanessa's been cheating on me. I don't know what to do. Lisa, being the protective best friend, was instantly furious. What? That bitch? I swear to God I will ruin her. That's when I pulled out my phone and said, "You might want to see this first." I played the video. Her face went pale. Her hands trembled. And then pure rage. That disgusting whore. She used my house to cheat? That's right. Vanessa had used Lisa's place once, too. And Lisa never knew. Vanessa had just lost her biggest ally. Just as I expected, Vanessa showed up at Lisa's house that night, begging for help. But this time, it wasn't just Lisa waiting for her. It was Lisa, her entire friend group, and every single person who had seen the video online. The moment Vanessa walked up the driveway, Lisa threw a glass of wine right in her face. "You're a lying, cheating slut. How could you do this to him? You deserve everything coming to you." Vanessa was trapped. People were filming, whispering, laughing. And then Lisa threw her out. Vanessa stood there, humiliated, drenched, shaking. Her friends had abandoned her. Her husband had destroyed her. Her career was about to implode, and she had nowhere to go. But I wasn't done yet. One final twist remained. Vanessa was already drowning in humiliation, but she had no idea that the real storm was still ahead because Jake's wife had seen everything. Jake was married to Amanda, a sharp, ruthless woman who had built his career with him. She wasn't just his wife. She was the reason he had power, money, and his entire corporate empire. And now, she knew everything. She had watched the entire video. She had seen her husband and Vanessa naked, sneaking around like two pathetic teenagers. She had seen the mockery, the betrayal. And Amanda? She wasn't the type to cry in a corner. She was the type to burn the world down. The next morning, Vanessa's worst nightmare came to life. Jake was fired. Amanda, who had powerful connections, had called the company's board of directors and showed them the video. She exposed Jake's disgusting behavior, his unprofessional conduct, and his abuse of power. In a matter of hours, the company had no choice but to fire him and cut all ties. But Amanda wasn't done. Jake's car? Repossessed. Their bank accounts? Frozen. Their assets? Being fought over in a brutal divorce. Jake was financially ruined. And Vanessa? She was next. Amanda personally contacted Vanessa's workplace. She sent the video to her employer, her co-workers, and even clients she worked with. Vanessa was immediately terminated for ethical violations. Her reputation was destroyed. Her career? Dead. With no home, no job, no money, and no support, Vanessa was left with nothing. She tried calling Jake, thinking they could support each other. But Jake? He was too busy fighting for his own survival. He blocked her. She was truly alone. I watched everything unfold from a distance. I didn't interfere. I didn't call. I simply disappeared. Vanessa tried to reach me, sending desperate messages. Please, let's talk. I made a mistake. I have nothing. I need you. And I'm sorry, please just answer. But I never responded. I had already moved on. I had taken everything from her, just like she took everything from me. And now, she was nothing. Section 8, the final scene. A ghost of the past. Months. Later, I found myself sitting at a cafe, sipping coffee, feeling peaceful. I had rebuilt my life, started fresh. I was happy. Then, across the street, I saw her, Vanessa. She looked completely destroyed. Her hair was unkempt, her clothes wrinkled, and her eyes hollow. She wasn't the confident, smug woman who once looked down on me. She was a ghost of her former self. She must have felt my gaze, because her eyes met mine. For a moment, there was hope in them, like she thought maybe I would talk to her. Maybe I would forgive her. But I didn't. I simply smirked, took one last sip of my coffee, and walked away. I had vanished from her life. Just like that. More than a memory.